then the other thing is, especially when they get help and translate their stories to Dutch, that is such a rich experience for children, because they actually get to hear those words and see those words that are important for their story, the Dutch words for their story. And imagine me standing in front of the classroom and reading their story in Dutch. They might actually understand what I'm saying, even though their Dutch is still at a very low level, but they wrote the story, so they know where it starts and what is in the middle and what is in the end, and they might pick up exactly what is important for them. So that I always try to work that way as well, but I think the bottom line is just by accepting the languages into the classroom, it opens up the full brain of the children. They are ready to make more connections, they feel appreciated, and for me that's, at least for the lesson series in the identity text, that's the most important thing. I remember from the speech of Professor Cummins that he quoted a girl, a 10 or 11-year-old girl who had been working on identity text, and she really liked it. And she said, I was really happy, because before that I was in a classroom and I only got coloring pages, and I'm so much more than a coloring page. And that really hurt my soul, because that's what I did for a long time. Kids came into the classroom and I would be like, I have nothing to do for you, let's give you a coloring page. And I totally stopped doing that. Or I gave them books with stupid non-verbal activities that you would give to kindergarten kids, just to keep them busy. And now I feel like, what is the message that you give to children if you give them work that is obviously not for them, way too easy for them? So I rather have them participate by using their mother tongue, or maybe by only listening to what is happening, that's also okay, but taking them seriously, I think it's so important.
Did you already experience that children could not write in their home language?
Yeah, and then I let them draw instead of write. And the funny thing is that in my experience, it's not a very large experience, but they make very specific drawings. If other children are writing in their own languages, and we have been discussing it. So for example, I had a boy from Thailand this year, and he was not very talkative yet. And so we were working on the first chapter, My Life in blah, blah, blah. And I gave him a sheet with a big a place to draw, and then lines underneath, because I told him, if you want to, when your drawing is done, you come to me and I can help you write something. It cannot be in Thai, because I don't speak Thai, but we can try and do something in Dutch. And he divided the big space into smaller spaces, and he drew all the segments of his life that I had been pointing out in the board, like you could talk about school, you could talk about family. He drew them all very meticulously, and then he came to me and he really owned the story. So I said, okay, what do you want me to write down? And then in a few words he said, car, many car, no play outside, something like that. And I would say, okay, so should I write down, it was very busy on the streets and I couldn't play outside? Yes, you should write down that. And that way we worked on the first chapter. And with this specific example, in the second chapter, I let them choose again. Do you want to only write, or do you want to draw and write? And he took the only writing paper. So I said, huh? He said, yes, I try. And then he just started writing in phonetic Dutch, and he hadn't written anything before. So he started writing in phonetic Dutch, and he just came every time, Juf, how do you write this? And I would write a word on the board, okay, and he wrote a full page. Of course, that is not going to happen with every child, but to me it was really such a, it sparked something in him. But with younger children, I would say only draw in the 3 chapters and tell something about it. Maybe even tell something about it in your own language, and I don't understand. It doesn't matter, you still get to tell your story.
So I asked my children to write down the languages they could speak, and then talk about all the languages, their favorite color, their favorite animal, their favorite drink, and they wrote it down in all the different languages. And there was one boy who could not read and write in the languages he spoke, so his mother wrote it down, but it was also written down phonetic. So in the classroom he could say the words, and he was so proud that he could do that. And I was glad that he really showed that he was talking about this with his parents at home, and so they prepared it together. It was really funny. But because I talked about this with my colleagues, I sometimes came across also work with the other in the other classes. So that was really nice to see that my colleagues made these multilingual assessments as well. And this is actually the only official document I have that this is a methodology we use in a lot of newcomer schools, that these are the words, the new ones they are going to learn, and it says how do you write it in your home language. And most of the time they start with this at the beginning of a theme, but this is actually the first improvement of this this methodology. And this was also a nice example. We made a multilingual sheet for mathematics, and my colleague started in her class with different languages, and then later on I took it and finished it with the students I had, and we had different languages, and so we made a very large poster, and we had it in the hallway. And finally, I want to show you this one. We now have a library in Utrecht with books in different languages. And how did we get those? We had all teachers got €25 at the end of the year, and our principal said during the summer holiday, when you are in a different country, please buy a book. And I went to London, and I knew that there was a multilingual bookstore, and I asked also colleagues, can I have your €25? And it's also once in a while they had reading to the children. One time we had parents in the school and read with the children in different languages, and also we did it sometimes with the older students, reading to the younger children. And but as I said, it is most of the time. Sometimes this happens, and there has to be one teacher who is really enthusiastic about this and really encourages his or her colleagues to also do this. And I found in Hannah someone who also really knows about how you can do this.
Some books that would reflect the languages of the kids that were in her classroom, and there were very few available at that stage in Toronto. This is back around about the year 2000. And so she said, well, we can do it ourselves. And so the dual language showcase went on for many, many years, and students produced over about 130 stories in their home languages and in English. Parents got very much involved in this because a lot of the students were not literate in their home language, so students might write a story initially in English. And this is the mainstream class, but the mainstream class was highly multilingual. Students might write a story initially in English and then work with their parents to translate that story into Arabic or Urdu or whatever language is the home language. And then Patricia put these up on the web. And this was the early days of the web, and they were there for the students to see and to share with their parents. They also printed out copies of these books, and their books became part of the school library. So they were there with all of the mainstream authors that they were reading. Their books were there, and their peers and kids from other classes could take these books out and bring them home to read with their parents. So you have huge impacts from something that at first sight is fairly simple, just allowing kids' languages to come into the classroom.
always have to even translate.
No, exactly.
Because, for example, Christy, like in the kindergarten, we have 2 groups, age groups. So they have this kind of game that they have the dice, and on all the sides that there are different countries. So they were throwing the dice. So if it was like Sweden, so it was chosen this way, that there were pictures of Sweden, then the music, the food. So you didn't even have to translate, because that the child right away understood. Okay, I have been there. Yes. So this is our food. This is our music. So these little, like, simple things that makes children feel that or they recognize, okay, this is mine, this is something that I know. It's like, for example, we use a lot of books that we don't buy ourselves, but we ask them to bring from home. That we put the signs that this is like Johanna's book, and if you want to take it, then you have to ask, can I borrow it, or then we ask to bring them like their music. So during the daytime we put the CDs on. So there are like little things that makes them, they feel more safe to that, and then they know that, okay, this is something, that they're very proud of. Even when
you see it happen,
yes,
like, oh,
because I know that. This is like little things that help them.
I also do, for example, the YouTube clips and say thank you in 30 languages or sorry in 30 languages. And just by doing that once or twice a week, every child gets to hear a little bit of their own language and like, that's mine. And if you then comment like, oh, that sounds very nice, or that's a beautiful word, you really see them grow. Yeah.
And what you say about you don't have to translate. We have once a year, we have a week about children's books, and I asked the children to bring a book from their home country to the classroom, and I photographed the front page, a whole page and one word, and I made a memory out of it. And we really didn't talk about, because there were also younger children who maybe could not read and write, and we just photocopied it, and it was nice to see, oh wow, this is a rabbit